So let's talk about how you can eat sugar without gaining weight. Wouldn't that be cool? Like if you could eat sugar and not gain weight? Well, on this video, I'm going to actually show you how to do that. And there are 3 things you can do. They're not hard. They're not expensive. It's just about knowing how to hack your physiology so that that sugar gets put in the right places, not the wrong places. So let's dive into these 3 things because it's kind of cool when we start to look at the mechanisms behind that. So first, I do have to say, I really have to put this out on this video, that I am not a sugar fan. I think in general, sugar is one of the major reasons that we have the obesity problem that we have. And personally in my clinic, I have sat with some people who have had some serious sugar addictions. It is an addictive food that can be hard to get off of. Now, having said that, I also think if you understand the principles of your body and how your metabolic system works, these 3 hacks can really allow you to have your cake and eat it too. So let's dive into the nuances of them. And the first hack is to always pair sugar with fiber. So let's understand why that works. Let's use a chocolate chip muffin with frosting on top. You're going to actually eat this chocolate chip muffin. You're excited about it. You're like, yeah, it's a sugar bomb. All the dopamine's going off in your head. You're like, eat it, eat it, eat it. That looks so good. And so you eat the muffin. What happens, and the dopamine in your brain is like, this is amazing. You're in a good mood for about 2 minutes. And then you hit that, what did I just do? And what's happening is inside your body is that all of a sudden your pancreas is like, insulin to the rescue, insulin to the rescue. We need insulin. And the reason that when sugar goes up in your body, the reason that you need insulin is because insulin is going to shuttle that sugar into the cells so that the cells can start to use that for energy. Now, keep in mind that any sugar that doesn't get shuttled into the cell is going to be stored as fat. So if I'm eating this chocolate chip muffin every single day with frosting on it, then what happens is that every day I'm getting this surge of insulin. And over time, your cells become deaf to the insulin and they won't allow the insulin to shuttle the sugar into the cell. That is called insulin resistance. So there is a way to slow down the insulin response to this yummy cupcake by slowing down the amount of glucose that goes surging into your system. And when we add fiber in, think of it like this. Fiber acts like a net. And so it just slowly takes this rush of sugar, or we call it glucose, this rush of glucose into the system, and it like blocks it so that less of it gets initiated and infiltrates into the system. So if your body registers less of a glucose response from something that's rich in sugar, it will have less of an insulin response. So something as simple as having, these 2 don't necessarily pair together, but if you're dedicated to regulating your blood sugar, you may do this. Something as simple as having a salad with your cupcake, have the salad first, and then have the cupcake, will slow down the insulin response. Now, when you slow down the blood sugar rushing into the system, and you slow down that insulin response, then there's less glucose and insulin to be stored as fat because it can all get into the cell to be used. So a really good hack, it's for those of you that are like really struggling with sugar addiction, a really good hack is just a salad with every meal. Like try it for 30 days, just a salad with, or maybe it's carrots and celery. It's some kind of fibery vegetable. You could go the fruit route. I do tend to like more of the green leafy vegetables. They're great for the microbiome as well. But, even just, if you have some chopped up vegetables like carrots and celery, eat those right before you eat your cupcake. Try that for 30 days and you may just completely shock yourself. Now, what's interesting, of course, I always love to dive in to the science. And I found an interesting science that says that when you eat sugar and fiber together, that the actual glucose spike is smaller, which is really what I've just been talking about. But the reason I want to point this out is not only is it cool so you know that this isn't just a random theory I pulled out of nowhere, that there's actually science showing this, but those of you that are looking at your CGM, if you have a continuous glucose monitor on and you've been looking at that, or maybe you're pricking your finger and you're trying to understand your glucose, try having fiber with every meal and see how that works. Research says it was. This was an interesting fact that I found too, was that fiber is so effective at slowing glucose down that even diabetics can eat a high carbohydrate diet and maintain good blood sugar balance. So if you're diabetic, good news for you is that if you're looking to keep your exogenous insulin amounts lower, try having fiber with every single carbohydrate-rich meal. So, I use the cupcake as an example, but it could be pasta, it could be bread. Try using fiber with those. Okay, second way we can eat sugar is we eat sugar after exercise. Now, I'm going to also tell you a few other things about how exercise and sugar metabolism could go hand in hand, but let's start with this concept. So when you exercise, especially if it's like a strenuous exercise, so strenuous to me would be like a HIIT training exercise where you're like bent over and you're like out of breath, and you're like sucking air. And so that kind of exercise is an oxygen deprivation state that often causes your muscles to release sugar. So because it needs sugar to be able to continue that intensity. Or another really interesting one is weightlifting. When we're lifting really heavy weights, you're causing your muscle to really like bring out that sugar and get that sugar out of the muscle. So you're depleting your glycogen stores inside your muscle. So when you deplete those stores in the muscles, you also deplete it in the liver, by the way, and then you come home after a really strenuous workout and you eat a high carbohydrate or a high sugar diet, those stores are now empty. So they're empty and your body's like, okay, let's go put them in the liver. Let's put them in the muscles. It's like emptying your pantry and then going to the market and then coming back and being like, oh, I have so much room to be able to store all of this food. I'm not going to have to put it in the garage refrigerator. The same thing happens. You go and you work out, you exhaust the storage in your muscles, and then all of a sudden you eat a carb-rich diet or you eat some kind of sugar immediately following that workout, and your body's like, great. There is storage room in the muscles and the liver because we just dumped a bunch. Okay, check this out. I have a free fasting guide for you all. It's free. And it's going to teach you all the basics of fasting. It's going to teach you how to kill hunger when you fast, which is really cool. And it's going to show you how to break your fast, among many other things. All you got to do is click on this link right here and enjoy. The challenge when we gain weight with sugar is when these storage units are full and there's nowhere to put that extra sugar, so your body stores it as fat. So let's empty the pantry, empty the refrigerator, and then let's look at having a high carb diet or a high carb meal or having some sugar, and it'll be stored in the appropriate place. It won't get stored as fat. How cool is that? Okay. The other thing I do want to say that I do this a lot with the people I've coached over the years when we're really trying to get a good insulin sensitivity balance back is after every meal, I have that person go for a walk. And I want to add that under exercise here because it's really important that you understand when you eat a meal, the glucose you don't use, you're going to store as fat. So if you eat a high carb meal or you eat a bunch of sugar and you're like, oh, I forgot, I didn't exercise before this, I didn't eat any fiber with this, then go for a walk. Use that sugar so that it doesn't get stored. So just something really important to point out. And then also understand, and I'm going to link a study in here, that exercises improves insulin sensitivity. And so especially when you're weightlifting, strength training is very popular right now. And when you're weightlifting, you're building more muscle, you're building more insulin receptor sites. So there's so many reasons to exercise, but have you thought about the exercise and timing to your carbohydrate-rich meals or your sugary treats? That's what I really wanted to unpack for you there. Okay, third thing. This one's good. It's easy, so easy, and it's stay hydrated. So interesting thing is that hydration has a big impact on metabolizing sugar. Really big impact. In fact, I found this really interesting piece of information that when you're dehydrated, your brain actually produces a hormone called vasopressin. And what vasopressin does is it tells your body to hold on to fluid. Like there's a crisis here. So we need to hold on to fluid because we don't have enough fluid. So when you're holding on to fluid and vasopressin is in your system, the other thing that's not happening is you're not flushing that excess sugar that is going around in your bloodstream out through your urine. So make sure you are hydrated because you don't want that hormone to come kicking in to stop the excretion of glucose. If it stops that excretion, it's going to go into fat, which is crazy, right? So a couple interesting studies is that when you're dehydrated, this one I loved, is that when you're dehydrated, you also tell your liver to release more sugar. So it's all of a sudden you're starting to release, the liver is thinking it's in a crisis, which is actually in that moment makes you a little less tolerant to the dietary sugar you're bringing in. And this is interesting. It's kind of two opposing states. It's like you're dehydrated, your vasopressin kicks in, the kidneys stop flushing all of the sugar out of your system, and your liver starts dumping the extra sugar, which could be interesting. I mean, it's dumping the extra sugar, but in this dehydrated state, it doesn't work like exercise. As it dumps it, what happens is it tells the rest of the body to turn off insulin sensitivity, and it doesn't know what to do with the sugar you're ingesting. So they've even found, multiple large-scale studies have found that drinking less water increases the risk of high blood sugar and diabetes. So funny how something as simple as hydrating ourselves can actually affect how we metabolize sugar. It's so cool. And so, the reason I wanted to bring this to you is I know so many of you here are really working on losing weight. I just applaud you and put in the comments. I love reading how much weight you've lost. Please put in the comments how much weight you've lost using the principles I've been teaching you here. So there you go. Those are 3 of my favorite. I really hope that helps. As always, I love your comments. So please leave me comments on if the videos like this you want more of. Let me know how much weight you've lost, and just whatever you do not give up on yourself. Please don't give up. You are a miracle. You just never been taught. You've never been taught how to use this incredible human flesh you can walk around in. And I'm working really hard to make sure that I teach you. So as always, I hope that helps. Okay, are you fasting and you're still not losing weight? Check out this video because you might be missing a key part of your fasting experience that's going to unlock weight loss. So if you think about it, all the humans that emerged out of that time have the gene that allows us to go without food. And that gene, they believe, is in all of us today.